Hi, my name is Joe Raz. I'm CEO and co-founder of TCO Toolkit. We're going to talk today about how to use the TCO Toolkit. We're broadcasting live from the Rock Hill Tech Incubator, of which TCO Toolkit is a member. We're also a member of the South Carolina Incubator SCRA SC Launch. So we're going to begin with the end in mind. This is a 5-minute tutorial. It's going to walk you through how to do a TCO case study. We've done over 1,000 of these in the past, generating $54 million in cost savings for our customers. We've rolled it out to over 250 people, and in the past sold the software for $1,000 a seat. We're going to begin with the end in mind. We're going to walk you through a case study that everyone can relate to. It's a case study on how to do a TCO on a car purchase decision. We're also going to walk you through some of the highlights as how the TCO Toolkit is certified to support the ANSI standard, APPA TCO Standard Part 1. We'll cover that in a separate section, and let's just go ahead and dig into it. Okay, so before we get into the software itself, we want to talk through the theory of how the TCO Toolkit operates on activity-based costing. First, at the very top of the process, you have the process. This is the name of your TCO case study. There's only one of these. You'll see this in your library of TCOs once you have completed your TCO. Next, we'll have scenario A. This is where we're going to compare the Tahoe versus the Ascent. Once we get this scenario A completed, we can clone this and tweak it, meaning we could clone that, keep the same data for the Tahoe, and then tweak the data for the other cars that we are comparing. So once we have the scenario level, we're going to set some high-level data there. The next step is to talk about the activities. So in the activities for the car, we have the activities of initial purchase, then we have operations, then we have disposal. Again, these activities will be cloned if you clone at the parent scenario level, but you can also clone activities at the activity level. And then finally, the most detailed level is the sub-activity level. And this is where you're going to put the amount of hours that you work on something, the consumable costs, and the costs for the items themselves. And again, you could clone these just as you can the parent activity and scenario. Okay, once you go to tcotoolkit.com, click on the Sign Up Form tab. Click on the Sign Up for the software and enter your email into the form. You'll then get access to the TCO Toolkit software. And once in the software, you're going to want to go ahead and click on the Processes tab on the top right corner. And then click Add a New Process, because this will be new for you. When you add a process, the user guide will walk you through all the different fields, what they all mean. The key thing about the process is it's the top level value. So it's the name of your TCO case study. Going to give it a name, going to talk about the duration of your study. For this case, we're looking at an 8-year study for the cars. Then you'll go down and enter in data under the application scenario. So the application scenario in this case is Tahoe versus Ascent. You can also have an application called Tahoe versus, say, a Nissan Armada, and just keep adding your comparisons there. And there you see the scenarios show up, application scenarios. Now you're ready to enter your process information. And as you're entering in the process information, the key thing to note is that the downtime costs are ascribed at the process level. So for our car example, we said if the car's in the shop, that's going to cost me on average $10 an hour. So there were some sub-activities in the later detail that you'll see where we say the car is in the shop for a couple days for each of the cars throughout its life. So again, downtime costs get ascribed at the process level. We're going to go through a few activities here. We did the first one, which was initial purchase. We're going to set up one for operations, and then we're going to set up one for disposal. I usually like to add all my activities together at the front end of an analysis. You can also add activities anytime later. Once you add all your parent activities, you're going to want to go through and enter in your sub-activity information. So here you see the form with the detail for the sub-activity info, and you want to give each sub-activity a name. The nice thing about TCO Toolkit is the customers can put the data in their own terms. So you can name all your activities as they work for your organization. There's several different sub-activities, so we're going to get a few looks at it here. You're going to obviously give it a name, talk about the amount of time that it takes, whether or not the time that it takes applies to downtime. And you're going to also take a look at consumables, so like say welding rods or grease, or paper if it's an office study. Then you can also look at the cost of the items themselves. So like under the initial purchase price one, that's where we put the cost of the vehicle. And we're walking you through here a few examples of the sub-activity information. So you can see there's a little bit of data entry here, and the neat thing about TCO Toolkit is we have all that cloning capability that we mentioned earlier. So the best way to do this is work through this once and then clone it for what you're comparing to, and then just change the items that change as far as what you're cloning and what you compare it to. Okay, as we come to the end of our TCO, we're summarizing that we did the activities of initial purchase, operations, and disposal value. We used a number of assumptions going in, reasonable assumptions backed up by data. And then we're going to go ahead and enter in the last bit of data about the ascent, minus $8,900, which is what we get back when we dispose of the car. So that's the end of the TCO study. You see the line chart. We can adjust that to a column chart. Look through the data there, see the initial price of the Tahoe, the initial price of the Ascent. Then we see the operations costs. Because the Ascent gets better gas mileage, you're going to do better on operations and doing better on disposal value too. So, but the bottom line is the results are pretty darn close, and depending on what the cost of gas is, you could probably go either way. And the neat thing about the TCO Toolkit is you could do a scenario analysis. So for example, I ran this analysis for the cost of gas being $4 a gallon and also at $3 a gallon. Winds up being about a $2,000 difference throughout the analysis. Thanks for your time. If you like what you see, log on to TCOToolkit.com to get more case studies, white papers, examples, and sign up for your free trial version of the software. Thanks, and have a good day.